Christmas morning? And the birds are out flying everywhere? That's all you can hear. And my phone. But it's Christmas morning. Oh, look. Oh my gosh. Seagulls. Let's see if I can get up and see them. I have not seen them fly over like this in a long time. What a beautiful sight. What a beautiful sight to see. Oh my gosh, they're just flying around. You know what's nice? There's no building. There's no movement. I saw this morning when I walked out here before I turned my camera on, there was a bunch of doves in Gary's bathtub over there. The birds have been flying through the trees everywhere. Oh, I see a hummingbird. But I hear the rabbits bouncing around in the leaves, looking for food. They do a lot of digging and they find food underneath. It could be the start of seeds growing, sprouting, nuts and berries and all things that have fallen off the trees. But they do a lot of digging. They'll eat grubs and stuff too. But it's just so quiet. I don't even know what this little bird is right here. I'm not sure. I think you can hear the birds with me. Christmas morning. Beautiful. The sun is out here. I'm not going to say it's warm. It's not. It's a very cool morning. But it's just so beautiful and peaceful. And I'm looking at all these birds down here. There's so many birds. And I'm thinking, in a matter of a month, they're going to start looking for places to nest. Not necessarily nesting. We'll still be in winter till March. But a lot of birds, depending on the weather, will nest at the end of winter. They won't wait for spring. I can hear the scrub jay. He's moving around the trees. See, there's a scrub jay up there. Oh, there's a mockingbird up there. They're probably getting ready to go get water in the bathtub. See the mockingbird? And there's the bathtub. Yeah, this morning they were full of doves. They all just took off. So they are using that bathtub. Once Gary has all this done, oh my gosh, this will be heaven to them because we're going to plant this up with a lot of plants once he's done. And probably a lot of pomegranate plants since we have so many pomegranate trees growing on the deck. And look how that one is now just starting to lose its leaves. There's one against the wall. But they're going to be nesting. Look at this. Oh, and there's still more seagulls up in the air. You probably can't see them, but they're up there. There's 3 of them. They're the stragglers from the big group that just went by. But they've got all these trees here that they can nest in. And can you imagine? They come here. They've got all these trees that we have made sure to leave. Big, old trees. Ficus trees and olive trees and pepper trees and just multiple trees. They're all different types. They can nest in these trees. And then they've got insects coming out of my garden. I've seen them go through the garden. They've got water, which is the most important thing they've got to find is water. And then they'll come into this chair garden, which will be amazing because I saw them last year. Remember, we're going to talk about this on tomatoes. Most of your birds don't like landing in the tomatoes. They won't land and climb on the tomato plants. I don't know why, but I'm going to assume there's something on there that is either toxic, uncomfortable, irritant to them. So they don't like landing on it. It is sticky. If you feel it, it does have a stickiness, so they stay away from that. But what I do, come the right season, and they're just starting, this is leftover tomatoes. This is tomatoes from, last spring and summer when I built this, is I'm going to stick in a lot of stakes. See, I've got one here. And I've got a video of a bird coming on here. They will go on sticks that you can put in from other trees. This is actually aloe vera flowers. Flowers are gone, just stuck in there. They will go onto that And then what they'll do is they'll eat all the green worms, the hornworms on there. It's amazing. And that's what but they won't climb around on the tomato plant itself. They'll hang on the tomato stakes, but they're not going to climb on the tomato plant. So that gives your plant an opportunity to get rid of those worms they don't need by simply having extra stakes in there, and they're not doing anything bad. It doesn't need to be holding up your tomato plant because you use tomato stakes for that. These things last forever. You buy them once and you'll have them forever. But that you stick in between. It's not for support for your tomato plant. All that is doing is it's allowing the birds to come in to eat the insects off. So when I see that aloe vera flower over there done, that yellow one, I leave it there and let it dry. Then I bring it over here, and I have a mad method of either sticking it on the ground, but it won't hold and it doesn't matter if it doesn't hold, birds are light, but it won't hold because as soon as you stick it in the soil, it's going to break down. It's going to be returning back to earth, breaking down like your compost would. So a lot of times I duct tape a stick with an old silverware. You could do that. Anything you've got that isn't going to break down. And I get that silverware. You can get it at the thrift store cheaper, but $4 for $1 at Walmart. And I use a knife and I tape it to that. I don't think I have any here that's got the silverware on it. No. See, I just stuck this one in here. And it's just, see what happens? It will rot out right away, literally right away. You could do it if you want to keep up with it. Pull it out, cut the end off, stick it back in. But when you put silverware on it, let me see if I do have silverware on the other one. I took one out the other day when I started doing a little cleaning. I do. Let me see what I have on this one. No, this one I have a little piece of cut off. This is rebar. I don't know if you can see it, left over from Gary. You see how I just taped it on? I said duct tape. I don't use duct tape. Masking tape. With the tape on my hand, I think from the dry weather, my skin had a little crack, so I used paper tape. I love paper tape. I've gone into paper tape. I love it. This is waterproof. I put this on yesterday. It will stay on until I take it off. But meantime, my tiny little crack cut is protected, and it will actually heal in a matter of days. But see, I've got a zip tie in there. There's a zip tie here, and then I've got this with the masking tape. Now let me tell you something. This was done in the summer. We're in winter now, and that masking tape looks as good as the day I put it on. That's why I love masking tape. It will last. So now the birds come on there and they land on there and they eat the insects off. So I can't believe there's another one. I can't believe that we're going to be going into spring. We want to do things before spring. Wow, the wind really knocked a lot of stuff around. It was so windy. We're going to be doing a whole lot of stuff coming up because I am going to make a new chair garden. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with buckets yet. But boy, am I going to be using a lot of buckets for things. I could put buckets in the front, but we'll see because I have so many rabbits out here. The other day, Gary went to get mail. He went to our P.O. box, and he said he came home, it was still dark, and when he drove down the driveway, it was like an explosion of rabbits. They just took off in all different directions. They were out, and it was still dark. So they just started running everywhere. Let me sit for a minute. So the rabbits will get into the bottoms. They don't get into the chairs. They don't even bother the totes up against the wall. And of course, I've got some buckets on chairs over there with lettuce growing. They don't bother those. But they will bother it if it's smack on the ground in these floral pots. And I'm assuming they may think a bucket is for them too. So I will see. I can always cover the bucket with tulle. There's a lot of different things I can do. I can put a wire basket over it. So we'll see what I'm going to do with buckets. I love buckets. Buckets, we're going to get into buckets so much. Why a bucket could be good for a small gardener, a big gardener. Even my daughter's thinking now of maybe putting some buckets in her yard. She grows a lot in the ground. She does use a few totes, but I told her what she could use a bucket for, and then she kind of thought, of course she knows Mom's going to drop off a plant in a bucket, and that's what we'll do in the spring. So that's it. I wanted to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. I just thought it was so beautiful to come out here, and I hear nothing. I think I hear a plane in the background. But all I heard was birds, and watched all these birds flying around. There's just birds everywhere. And it's just amazing to think that it's just around the corner that all these birds are going to start nesting. And we have wren's nest in this tree over here behind us. I know the hawks will be back soon. We had the Cooper hawks up here. They will come back. I'm almost positive because their nest is still there. Look at that. Their nest is up there and it's still up there. The only reason they wouldn't come back is if they lost their fight between them and the ravens, because the ravens like it here and they don't nest well together. But there's that little birdhouse that Gary put there. He put that little one there, and we've had wren's nest there for years now, same house. And he's probably going to set up another one or two around here very quickly. And if he doesn't, maybe I will. Because wrens are interesting. What they do is they really only like to nest in it once. And what they do is they alternate. As soon as they're done with this, they find another nest nearby. And they may come back if they do a third nest and then clean it. But they kind of alternate on the nesting. So, and then I built that. I don't think anything's nested in there. It's an old container. I'll zoom in for a second. You know what that was? I'll tell you what that was. That was an almond milk, chocolate almond milk, and I painted the box brown. I left the almonds, made a hole on the top and just hung it there. Nah, I don't think it's to their likings. Or they haven't found it, but they probably looked at it and thought, nah. So we'll see what I decide to do. Just so dense. Cleaned up the yard the other day. Look at this. It's all ready to start doing something here now. It probably will be a while before we have birthday parties here again. I hear a dog barking now. So I'm going to still make sure that if we do have parties here this year, and I don't know what's going to be, I should say 2021, I have enough room for parking because you can't really park on the street. So I'll make one chair garden here and then the buckets. Oh, the buckets. Buckets are going to be great for everybody. And the colors of the buckets. That is just so fascinating. Color is something I've always liked. Always. Everything had to be colorful. Everything I've ever done has had a lot of color in it. And I know when I started growing in the totes, the gray totes that are here, a few of you said, oh, my husband won't let me put that in the yard, or that looks so terrible, a gray tote. Well, it does. But, you know, I'm looking at totes to grow food in. The most important thing to me, especially this year, to know that we didn't have to buy any produce from the store. No fresh produce at all was purchased from the store. I can't say enough how wonderful that was, to know that I could walk into the yard and just pick what I wanted. Even right now, starting in winter, just walk through the yard and pick what I want and then come in and come up with something to cook. I am planning on doing, I don't know if I want to call it cooking segments. I'm trying to figure out how to do that because I don't have recipes. Of course I use recipes. Everybody uses recipes. But most of the time, I literally walk through the garden, pick a bunch of stuff, come in the house, tell Gary I'm making something for dinner. He says great, and then he comes in and it's not what I said. It's something else because I just changed my mind and went on a whim and thought, gee, this will go good with this and this. You should see the dinner I put together last night. He thought he was getting fried chicken. He'll get fried chicken tonight. That's what he wants for Christmas. We'll see, unless I change my mind again. And I ended up looking in the fridge and, well, what did he have? He had leftover gluten-free spaghetti, which is not really good the next day. I don't think so. That's my personal opinion. So I looked at it and I thought, wait a minute, I've got that. I've got some vegetables from the garden. And I did stock up on some soup to have this year and it was cold last night. It was freezing. It was so, I can't say it was freezing. Probably 45. But it was really cold and windy. Oh, the wind was just roaring. So I ended up making a stew. I had some leftover chicken. I chopped up the chicken. I went ahead and sauteed it with a little butter. Then I put in some vegetables from the garden. And then I added in 2 cans of soup, tomato soup. What did I do? And then I took all that spaghetti that was left and cooked that in. You know, that was so good. And then I made some cornbread. It was so good. And I made coleslaw made out of purple tree collard. And it was just the greatest dinner. And that's what we had last night. It tasted so good. All basically from the garden except for the chicken. Not that it couldn't be from the garden, but it wasn't. It was from the grocery store. But this is the way I cook. So I have to figure out, unless you want to just be entertained and see me in the kitchen, just pull my hair back and start cooking, you know. I mean, I can do that because what you may get out of it is, that's a script J up there. What you might get out of it is a thought gee, I didn't think about that. I could do this. I could do that. And you may have a complete different meal than what I made, but you'll have ideas. And that's what I always look for, ideas. I love looking for ideas. I may watch somebody do something that has nothing to do with what I'm looking for, and then it sparks an idea, and I have no idea where the idea came from because they weren't talking about that, but I picked up an idea just by listening to them talk. And they may have been talking about collecting coins, and suddenly while they're talking, I'm thinking about, oh, I could do this with totes or this with buckets. It's so weird. It's just so weird the way I can pick things up on just listening to people talk, and then my mind will start to drift into something else, and for some reason it could have been a word, it could have been something in the background, it could have been something sparks an entire different idea. And so that's what I'm hoping is maybe I can cook in the kitchen and you'll get that idea. A lot of people are afraid to cook. Oh, it's so easy. Right now I want to make something I want to do a lot out of cake mixes. Why? Because I don't have to think about all these extra steps. I do a lot of baking from scratch. I've done breads and cookies and everything. I do everything from scratch, but I also like doing things easy. So if I can pick up, let's say, a box of yellow cake mix and turn that into Gary loves fresh ginger cookies or plain vanilla cookies, lemon cookies, whatever you want. I take a cake mix and, of course, turn it into a chocolate marble banana cake because Gary brought in 100 bananas. Or turn around and make a flying saucer cookie that I used to get when I was in grammar school, elementary school, only because I can remember the taste and figure out what was in there. That's what I do. And that's what I'm hoping maybe I can spark ideas. I have no idea what my phone is doing. That's a camera, and it could be something as simple as the wind is blowing and a plant is moving, and so my camera keeps telling me, something's there. So anyways, I just wanted to say happy holidays, everybody. I hope you're having, a good holiday. We're going into a new year before we know it. I'm really hoping 2021 is going to be fantastic for everybody, and we'll see what happens, how the year goes on. We're going to all start thinking about gardening, hopefully. Even if it's a flower pot in your window. I am growing in my window right now, kitchen window. I'm growing walking onions. I'm growing popolo. Believe it or not, I'm growing tomato plants, which are not throwing any tomatoes yet, but they're growing, and I can transplant them out later or start fresh. But I'm also growing dill, and I've got some hibiscus plants. I did some cuttings in paper cups, and they're taken off, so we'll see what happens. I can put them out. I can start growing moringas right now in the kitchen window. They don't like being moved, but I could start growing them in the kitchen window and then just plant them in a paper cup, bust the bottom out, and just drop cup and all in the ground in the spring when it starts to warm up. So there's a lot of things you could be doing. But yeah, Gary takes popolo leaves off the kitchen window, and I've been using walking onions because sometimes it's dark and I don't go back outside, and I think, gee, I want a little bit of onion in this. Like I forgot to pick walking onions last night when I was making my coleslaw out of tree colored. And so I just reached up the kitchen window, and right on my kitchen window above my sink, I just took walking onions from there, which is great. Walking onions do fine in the house. They like sun, and they will do much better and get much bigger if you have them outside. But they still will grow on a kitchen window, and come spring, I can put them outside. And if you had them on your kitchen window, if you are in the snow, they don't mind the snow. They go dormant afterwards, and then they'll come back in the spring. But you don't want to put them out in the snow, so you could leave them if they were growing out there. But the point I'm saying is once the weather gets better, you would definitely want to put them outside. Where I have so many outside, I don't have to worry about it. I'll probably leave them on my kitchen window. So I just wanted to say hello. Gary's around here doing something. I'm not sure what. I'm just sitting here listening to silence. And that's what I like. A little bit of silence. So let's get ready for spring. We're after New Year's. We'll start thinking about another chair garden. It should look much nicer than this one. See, it's still in the shade. It's going to be in the shade most of the day. Then it'll get a little sun. But we are now getting, 2 minutes a day extra morning and night. So it's going to get 2 minutes a day of extra sunlight. And soon I can come back in here, decide what stays and what goes. Get this all redone and start thinking about setting up my new chair garden probably in about a month. So with that, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. And don't forget to collect those leaves. If you've got any leaves around, don't throw them away because that's your future soil. And if you like this, please like and subscribe. And if you want, give it a thumbs up. Take care, everybody. Share the videos. Bye-bye.